What's going on, everyone? My name is Burke, bringing you the Week 9 Power Rankings for PICA. And like always, I'm joined by my co-host, Xavier.
Hello, everyone.
So we're starting to get into the last bit of the regular season of PICA, gearing up for the playoffs. So a lot of these rankings not going to be changing anymore. They're starting to look pretty similar to the way they were the previous week. So like last week, we're going to try to spend less time talking about the teams that are lower on our list. There's not much. Some of them will tell you if they've been statistically eliminated from the playoffs. Spoiler alert, a few of them have already. So we'll talk about that, but we're mostly going to be focusing on the teams that are higher on our list.
Yeah, because they're more of the exciting portion.
Yeah, and also we'll touch on somewhat on the free agency picks. What we think. Is it going to help the team, hurt the team? Don't know. But anyway, we'll just jump straight into number 12. At number 12, didn't change from last week. I still have the Manhattan Manectrics. There's really not too much to say about them. They are eliminated from the playoffs. I'm like 95% certain.
Yeah.
They're all
closest to them has 6 wins, and they have 0 with 2 weeks left.
Yeah. So they're in the Pearl Division with the Washington Red Shells and Toronto Tarantrums. They're eliminated. There's nothing they can do to salvage the season at this point. I don't think there was anything they could do to salvage the season last week either.
Yeah, so, I think before that they had the slightest chance, but now it's just...
Unfortunately, their playoff hopes are gone. And, yeah. It sucks, but, it happens. There's always next season.
Yep, it's our truth. He did take over for a team, but, it still really sucks to go winless.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope last 2 weeks he can somehow pick up a win against one team.
Yeah, that'd always be nice. But moving on to number 11, a lot of our lower list is just going to be the same.
He did not have any free agency claims.
Yes. He's not one of the teams that had any free agency claims. Just like the next team on our list at number 11 is the DMR Shadow Absols. They lost this week to the Toronto Tarantrums, pretty big 5-0 loss. They are also statistically eliminated from the playoffs. There's nothing they can do to salvage their season at this point. They're 1-8 in a division. Granted, the division is not the best division. He's in the division with Detroit Pincers in the middle of Magmortar. Both of those teams not doing so well, but he's 1-9. The Detroit Pincers are 4-5. He cannot get to first in his division, and the wild card spot is going to be going to a team in the competing division for that conference. So he is also eliminated from the playoffs. Yes.
Overall, DMR showed Absols. I mean, it sucks to see him be doing this bad, but, can't all 10-0 or 11-0 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, next season, if he's in next season, he's got to draft a much more defensive team. You look at it's just it's so fragile, and it just shows he hasn't played a great hyper offensive team nor a really great hyper offensive game. He's trying to plan kind of defensively with an offensive team, and it just shows. Yeah,
his plan overall, he just doesn't seem like he's doing too bad. But the thing is, he can't quite get it right.
Yeah. So he also did not have any free agency claims. No real point at this stage. But that's all I have for the DMR Shadow Absols. I'm trying to not take too much time on them.
Yeah, I mean, no reason to talk about really negative things because he's been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
We've pretty much said all there is to be said. So,
pretty much.
Number 10.
Number 10. We still agree on this one. Middle Earth Magmortars are still at number 10. They're not eliminated from the playoffs. They can pull it out in these last 2 weeks, but they lost to the Washington Red Shells this week. Pretty big. Another 5-0 loss. Granted, he played against a team that he had a really, really bad matchup but Hazard's man.
Yeah.
Hazard's. And the lack of Shaman switching.
Yeah, that really hurt him.
But maybe in the last 2 weeks he can pull ahead of the Detroit Pincers, make the playoffs, maybe really do well in the playoffs. But at this point, he didn't participate in free agency. I said many times he needs a better spinner, he needs better Hazard support, and he didn't pick up any. So
should have picked up the Torkoal. And overall, I mean, I believe to make the playoffs, he'd either have to he'd have to win, and the Detroit Pincers would have to lose, and then they'd have to either both win or both lose, or Detroit Pincers lose again and he wins again. But if in the event the Detroit Pincers don't lose out and he doesn't win out, and it comes down to differential, they would both have to lose and win with big differentials, big differences for the middle order to catch up.
Yeah, and it's gonna. I mean, anything can happen. They both have very, very tough. They have very tough battles coming up against them in the next 2 weeks
for either of them.
So yeah, it's not going to be quite so easy for either of them to really win big. So maybe one of them does, but it's going to be very hard for them.
Be interesting to see them make a comeback, but they're going against the odds.
Yeah. So anyway, this is where we're going to start to differ. My number 9, I have the Vesquim Park Rangers. They did pick up a loss this week after going on a little bit of a win streak. He won. He did win 3 weeks in a row and then lost these past 2 weeks. He lost to the Chelsea Shandies. I mean, the Chelsea Shandies is a very good team. The reason I have him numbered 9 below the Detroit Pincers and Atlanta Bravier, both of which have a 4-5 record along with him. I'm not really impressed with his planning this week. I mean, there's not too much to say at this point. He's also another team that is pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. He is eliminated from the playoffs. He cannot make a comeback. It's actually impossible. I think it's pretty much impossible for him. No, he's got a chance. Very slim chance. The Berkhamsted Bastardons have to lose out, basically.
Yeah, he can catch up to the Berkhamsted Bastardons, but it's kind of unlikely.
Yeah, because they're 6-3, and the Vesquim Park Rangers are 4-5.
Yeah, he'd have to lose out, and then he'd have to win out.
Yeah, and can he win out? Yes, and can the Berkhamsted Bastardons lose out? But the Vesquim Park Rangers would have to win out big, and the Berkhamsted Bastardons would have to lose out big. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for the Park Rangers, but as we said, you never know what's going to happen till it happens.
So,
and my number 9, I had the Atlanta Braviary. Their playoff hopes are not looking the best either. They're in a really, really tough conference. They've got the Toronto Tarantrums, the Chelsea Shandies, the Washington Red Shells, the Iowa Focus Energy, all of which are really neck and neck for making the playoffs, and he's trailing behind by not too much. He's still 4-5 against some 6-3s, but at this point he technically can make it. But as you said for the Vesquim Park Rangers, it would have to be winning out in his opponents losing out.
Yeah.
Which is not very likely, and I'm not sure about this, but I believe do the Focus Energy versus the Shandies in the last 2 weeks, or did they already verse each other?
I think they already played each other.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, because the Chelsea Shandies play the Manhattan Manectrics this week, or, we're recording this.
Am I thinking of the Tyrantrums?
During Week 10s. The Toronto Tarantrums play the Iowa Focus Energy in Week 10. The Chelsea Shandies play the Manhattan Manectrics, and they play the Washington Red Shells.
Okay. Well, with the way the matches are set up, and them, having those interconference battles, someone's going to have to win.
Yeah. And someone's going to have to be eliminated.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out. So I guess the Atlanta Braviary still got some hopes. They're not too there. They only lost 2-0 this week to the Berkhamsted Bastions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, wait.
Yeah, they lost 2-0 to the Berkhamsted Bastions this week.
Now, Berkhamsted Bastions have been proving to be a very good team throughout the season.
Uh-huh.
And so a 2-0 loss isn't not too much to be upset about. But overall, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and I put them at number 9.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Vesquin Park Rangers, we are going to talk about them when we get to them on your list. They did participate in free agency. They dropped the Zoroark and the Volcarona, and they picked up, if I'm not mistaken, the Entei and the... it was Entei and the Hoopa.
Yes.
I don't really know how I feel about this. I have a personal vendetta against Entei because it never gets Sacred Fireburns when I need them. But Entei, very good offensive prowess. I'm fine with that. Hoopa, it's going to be interesting to see how it works. I'm really meh on these just because I don't... at this point, I feel like it's just kind of experimentation with his team, see what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to be hard for him to actually pull it through. But he did pick up the Entei and the Zoroark, so I think it'll be interesting to see. At least, he dropped the Zoroark. He picked up the Hoopa. I think that'd be interesting to see how he uses it.
Yeah, and since I guess I'm on the Atlanta Braviary, I might as well mention that they dropped the Tentacruel and the what else did he drop? Was it Overizian?
Yeah.
And Gastrodon and the Toxicroak. Gastrodon adds a lot of good defensive help to his team, and since he's dropped the Tentacruel, it also pairs well with the Rotom Heat.
Mm-hmm.
And the Salamence, and just because he has a lot of things that can take grass hits on his team, so I feel like it fits his team really well.
Yeah.
And the Toxicroak, it supplies him with a really, really good wall breaker.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to support his team quite a bit, and who knows, maybe it'll give him that little winning push to make it to the playoffs. You never know.
Yeah, he does lose his pretty good Firewater Grass core, but he picks up, as you said, a very good wall breaker, which his team, it's got wall breakers, it's got Tyranitar, it's got Mega Scizor, which can wall break it with Sword Stance. He's got Salamence, but...
He's got things that can do it, but they seem kind of meh at doing it.
Yeah, Toxicroak, it sets up to +2 and hits something really damn hard. And it's got useful abilities, too. So...
Life Orb. That's going to hurt.
Yeah, I really like the Toxicroak pickup. I really like the Gastrodon pickup. And, I mean, moving on to number 8, I have the Atlanta Braviary. Yeah, their playoff hopes are looking pretty grim at this point. His planning, I don't have a problem with his planning. I find that I don't generally have a problem with his planning. But his playing is just, it's kind of lackluster. He makes some of the obvious switches, and against a team that's really good, you got to make those more aggressive predictions. He's got to use he's got a lot of offense on his team. He's got a lot of different offensive options. He's got Mega Scizor. He's got, this week he brought Mega Scizor, Salamence, Mismagius. He's got like all this really good. He's got to make the offensive switches and go on the offense against a team that is itself very offensive. Mm-hmm. And it puts on a lot of pressure with things like Hoopa Unbound, Kyurem, and Crobat, and he was able to pick up a 2-0 victory. Granted, I don't remember what died to Life Orb. I think it might have been the Crobat died to Brave Bird Recoil.
Wait, I think I remember. I think it was the Latios or the. No, it wasn't the Kyurem. The Kyurem had leftovers.
I'm pretty sure it was the Crobat died to.
Was it the Crobat? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he can still technically make the playoffs, but it's not looking good because there are 5 teams vying for 3 spots in that conference, and 4 of them are doing much better than he is. All right, he's 4-5. The next team above him is 6-3.
Yeah.
So it'd be very hard for him to make the playoffs. Can he? Yes, he's got to pull a miracle out these next 2 weeks. But the another problem is he's playing against 2 really good teams in these next 2 weeks. He's playing against division and conference rivals. He's playing the Washington Red Shells next week and the Toronto Tarantrums. If he loses to the Washington Red Shells next week, he's out of the playoffs, just straight up. So he's got to win against the Washington Red Shells. He's got to win against the Toronto Tarantrums, and he's got to hope that his fellow conference and division rivals lose big.
Yeah, he's going up against two of the best teams in the league, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
These last 2 weeks, so it's definitely going to be tough for him.
Yeah.
And you want me to move on to my number 8?
Sure.
All right, so we got the Detroit Pincers, who dropped this week. Let's see, what did he drop for Lucario? He got Lucario and Golbat. I know that. What did he drop again? Do you remember?
He dropped the. I think he dropped the Entei.
Oh yeah, that. Wait a second.
No, not Entei. He dropped Haxorus, and he dropped Hitmonlee. He dropped Entei the last time.
Okay,
so he dropped Haxorus and Hitmonlee.
Hitmonlee. Haxorus is pretty good. Lucario, I mean, they kind of can do a similar thing. They're really strong wall breakers that can also set up and be very effective.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of opinionated which one can do it better. I kind of think Lucario fits his team a tad better, so
yeah.
I'm pretty comfortable with that pick. Although, yeah, he has a fighting type in Chestnut, but at the same time, Chestnut isn't usually going to be put in an offensive role, and Lucario really is not going to be put in a defensive role. So it doesn't really matter too much, in my opinion. And then the Golbat, it provides his team with another good defensive Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like it does a moderately similar job to Weezing. Not exact, but kind of similar. It does give him a nice defogger.
Yeah.
Which is nice because his team didn't really have much of that. And his only Rapid Spinner before was a Hitmonlee, which not going to be that useful. But he's looking pretty good for playoffs, winning his division overall. And unless the Middle-earth Magmortars can make a huge comeback, he should win that and make the playoffs. Although he will be... I don't think he is capable of getting the bye, so he's going to have to win 3 matches to win the entire thing if he does make the playoffs.
Yeah.
He did versus the Manhattan Manectrics. He won 3-0. I mean, kind of hard to really judge that match, considering the Manhattan Manectrics have yet to win a single match.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, he won 3-0, which is kind of on the border of big differential. It's middle ground.
Yeah.
So, overall, Detroit Pincers looking really good. But I still keep them at 8 because overall, even though they're almost a shoe-in to make playoffs, and even though they won 3-0 this week, I still feel like they aren't proving to be the biggest threat in the league. One of the biggest, at least.
Yeah. He's at my number 7. I have the Detroit Pincers. So moving on to 7, I have the Detroit Pincers. The only reason I have him above the other two is just because his playoff hopes are stronger than the others. These 3, and then the next, not number 6, but then 3 through 5 when we talk about them, I struggled kind of putting them in the place because to me they're all pretty similar.
Yeah.
As far as place goes, but I only put the Detroit Pincers above because he does have the best chances of getting into the playoffs. I don't think he's doing any better than the Atlanta Braviary or the Vesquin Park Rangers. They are all 4 and 5. He does have, I think, a little bit more of a differential, but or he's got a -1 differential. The Atlanta Braviary has 1 better, but I don't know. This week, week 1, he comes in and it looks like he's just gonna be taking the league by storm, and then it just kind of fizzles out. He played against a team that we've had a consistent on the low end, and he 5-0s him. And then this week he plays another team that's consistent on the low end, and he 3-0s him. So, I think a lot of the problem with his team is he's still struggling with speed. I think the pick, I don't like Mega Ampharos still. I think he's been able to use it, but not use it well. His lack of spinning and defogging was hurting him. He does have a defogger now in Golbat, but still a problem with that is it's a little bit of redundant typing because he does have the Weezing. as well as it's weak to rocks, and I don't like defoggers that much that are weak to rocks, although there's a lot of defoggers that are weak to rocks, so you're probably going to be stuck with one in a league-based format, so it sucks. But he's got rockers, right? He's got spikers, and he's got T-spikers, and he's got a defogger. That's not a good combination.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of hazard stacking, you need a spinner, not a defogger, because you do not want to get rid of your own hazards. Is he going to be able to... I think the pickups will help him, and I think he'll be able to use them effectively. But it's hard to say. These next 2 weeks are going to be hard for him. He's playing the Squim Malamar, and then he's playing the Vesquim Park Rangers. So it's going to be a tough 2 weeks for him. Can he pull through? Definitely. All right. Is he going to make the playoffs? Probably. But I don't think that he's not even in the top 6, even though he's probably going to make the playoffs, just because I don't when he gets there, is he actually going to be a threat to the other teams in the playoffs? And that I'm kind of leaning towards the no. I think he might get to the playoffs, but at this point, the way he's playing, I think he's just going to I think he's going to lose his conference playoffs in the first round.
Yeah, he's not setting up for the best playoffs performance, but you never know what can happen.
Mm-hmm. So, your number 7?
Yeah, my number 7, I have the Vespuccan Park Rangers, who picked up the Entei and the Hoopa, got rid of the Volcarona and the Zoroark. Zoroark in the first place was something I was very, very, on the fence about, because it's something that, looks good, and, I've considered drafting, multiple times. I've looked at it, I'm like, this thing looks really good, but then I just decide against it. And I don't know why, but then he ended up drafting it, and I was like, I wonder how this will do. It did pretty good, and it honestly confused me with the whole illusion thing a few times, but he got rid of it and picked up the Entei. I honestly don't really know how to feel about that. Entei, it's really good, but at the same time, I feel like his draft, to an extent, is kind of physical heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at his special attackers, what does he have? He's got Manaphy. I don't consider Amoonguss an offensive. Empoleon, I guess, could go offensive. Electros is usually mixed, and Mesprit. So
which can also be mixed.
Yeah, Mesprit, which can also be mixed. So, he's got very few dedicated special attackers. And then he picked up the Hoopa and got rid of the Volcarona. The Volcarona, honestly, in this format doesn't seem that good. 4 times weak to Stealth Rocks. Very reliant on Quiver Dance, which is not too hard to prepare for if you have the right things on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And he picked up... I'm curious to see how this regular Hoopa does. It's going to be interesting. He did get that Dark type that he lost, so he will have knockoff access. Another mixed attacker, so it's not really helping with the lack of special attackers, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how that performs, and overall just... He can make playoffs. Not likely, though. The reason I put him above the Detroit Pincers and Atlanta Braviary because out of those 3, I feel like as a team to go up against, he is the most threatening.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just why I decided to put him there. And in his match this week, he did lose 2-0, but it was against a team that we hold pretty highly, the Chelsea Shandies.
Yeah.
And it was only a 2-0, so it wasn't huge.
It wasn't a blowout.
Loss. Yeah, it wasn't a blowout. But overall, Vespuccan Park Rangers, probably not going to make playoffs, but, they can try their darndest.
Yep, that they can. And moving on to the top 6. These teams, actually, not all of these teams can make the playoffs. Because a lot of them are in the 2 bottom conferences, at least on the spreadsheet. They're in the Pearl and Diamond division. 4 of them are. And so only 3 of them can make the playoffs. One of them is going to have to be eliminated. And the one I think that's going to be eliminated is my number 6, is the Iowa Focus Energy. He's not doing... He's doing well, but in these last few weeks, he's been rather inconsistent. Last 4 weeks, it's win, loss, win, loss. Right? That's not going to get him into the playoffs, and this last week, he did play against the Squim Malamar, and granted, I had the Squim Malamar winning it anyway. I think the Squim Malamar are proven to be an extremely threatening team, and they lost 3-0 this week. I mean, Focus Energy, like I always said, they've been planning pretty well. His planning was a little inconsistent this week, and it's been inconsistent every week for a while now. To me, he's the least likely to make the playoffs. He's the least, it's like, how to say, get the right, least threatening out of the 4 teams vying for the playoff spots in the Pearl and Diamond division. I give it to the Chelsea Shandies, Washington Red Shells, and Toronto Tantrums to make it more so than the Iowa Focus Energy. So he's at my number 6. He did participate in the free agency. He dropped Mega Audino and Talonflame, and he picked up Mega Metacham and what else did he pick up? Mega Metacham, and he picked up the Suicune. I don't know how they're going to do. Suicune, really good defensive wall, but he's now stacking up on the water types. He's got Azumarill, he has Jellicent, now he has Suicune. He's picking up a lot of redundant typing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be good for him. Mega Audino, I think, is actually very good in this format. It does a purpose, and it walls the shit out of things. It actually can work. I've seen it work. So, I actually like Mega Audino. Granted, I also love Mega Metacham.
Yeah,
that thing is very hard to prepare for. It hits so damn hard. It is a wall breaker that he needed. If you look at his team, it doesn't have many, just pure wall breaking power. Mm-hmm. Now he's got that in Mega Metacham. I think he can use it well, but I'm really mad on the Suicune pickup. I really like Suicune. It's a very good mon in this format, but it's just too many water types.
Yeah. He's just stacking up all the water types he can get, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And Mega Metacham, just if you hit something with a high jump kick, assuming it lands, it's gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah, something's pretty much gonna.
There's nothing walls it, except for maybe a Cofagrigus.
It takes a hit, and then Pure Power loses, and then it can't do anything.
But I don't know how reliable of a counter that is. It just overall Mega Metacham, it's really scary. And I guess Mega Sableye also wasn't. But I don't think anyone has that. So, yeah.
Yep.
And Iowa Focus Energy are my number 6 as well. As you said, one team is going to have to not make it out of those 4 and 5, if you count the Atlanta Braviary, but out of those 4 that are, really neck and neck. And he definitely just seems like the one that is most likely to lag behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're all at the same record, so it's like any of them can lag behind.
Yeah.
But just looking at it, the other teams have gotten big differential wins. Like the Washington Red Shells have gotten a lot of 5 and 6 and 4-0s and whatnot. The Toronto Tantrums are number 1 team in the league right now at 7. No, wait, they're tied for number 1 in the league, unless you count differential. At 7 and 2. And the Chelsea Shandies, I believe just a few weeks ago, got 2 6-0s in a row, so they're looking very threatening. And the Iowa Focus Energy, while I respect the, modest 1, 2, and 3-0s, I can respect getting those consistently. They might not be enough to actually win him the playoffs and win in the playoffs, assuming he makes it.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets him to the playoffs, I think he can do really well.
I think he can do well in the playoffs. I'm curious if he'll make it there, because he just seems like if someone's going to fall behind, I feel like it would be him. But at the same time, it's just by a sliver, because all the teams are just super close.
Yeah, because you look at the teams in his division. Toronto Tantrums are 7 and 2, so he's got another win, and he's at a plus 20 differential. One more win, and the Iowa Focus Energy are only at plus 6, 6 and 3 plus 6. That's really low differential for that kind of record.
Yeah.
Washington Red Shells are at plus 16 right now, and the Chelsea Shandies are at plus 14. They're they're losing just as much as the autofocus energy, but they're winning bigger. Is that going to help?
It could if it comes down to it.
Yeah, if it comes down to differential, he doesn't have it, and then the autofocus energy has a really tough schedule for the next 2 weeks. I think for the next 2 weeks. Well, he's got next week. I mean, he plays the Toronto Tyrantrums, very difficult, and then the week after he plays the Manhattan Manectrics, so a much easier week afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
maybe if he can win next week, he has a pretty good shot at getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very good match either way. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good match to watch. I think it's going to be a huge deciding factor of who makes it in and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, moving on to number 5. And now 5, 4, and 3, I was just... Where do I put them? But at number 5, I have the Washington Red Shells. Why do I have the Washington Red Shells at number 5 compared to 4, 3? I think out of all of them... I don't really know. All 3 of them are pretty much the same for me. They are all 6 and 3. They're all doing extremely well. The Washington Red Shells, to me, he either loses big or he wins big. And he's been winning big lately. He's on a 3-win streak now with this 3rd week. And he has a relatively... his schedule this week, he's playing the Atlanta Braviary. I think he can win that one. But then next week he plays the Chelsea Shandy. So it's going to be a very difficult battle for him his last week. Can he make the playoffs? I think he's going to. I think these next 5 are just going to make the playoffs based on their records and what's happening these past weeks. He's playing more consistently. I want to just see that. He did participate in the free agency, and he didn't really make too much of a change. He swapped out his Pangoro for Scrafty. I really like that. Pangoro, I think, is not as good as Scrafty. Scrafty provides a lot of utility, Intimidate, a Moxie Sweeper. It doesn't hit nearly as hard, but it's still another dark fighting, and I think it works well for his team. So I really like the Scrafty pickup. And I have it number 5 just because I think he, at least compared to the 2 above him, his team to me is... I don't know. Maybe I have him a little bit above the Berkhamsted Bastions, which are my number 4, but I have him at number 5 this week. He won really big against the Middle-earth Magnum Mortars, but it's a team that who's not been doing that well anyway. Mm-hmm. So is that win actually big for him? It's very nice for padding differential. A +5 differential, very good. So I think he's going to make the playoffs. I just have him at number 5. Again, next to pretty much consider them all 3.
Yeah, kinda, to an extent. My number 5 is the Berkhamsted Bastiodons. Berkhamsted Bastiodons, throughout the season, have been a very big threat. Mm-hmm. However, for some reason, I don't know why, I just always feel this way. I feel like they've been not the biggest threat. They've always been up there, but I never feel like they're, like, the most terrifying team. And so I just put them at 5 just because out of all these teams, I feel like they're, out of my next top 5, I feel like they're the least scariest to go up against. Mm-hmm. And they did participate in the free agency, and they dropped the Mega Gallade and the Terrakion and picked up Mega Houndoom and Dragonite. He dropped his Fighting Stab, both of them. Mm-hmm. And he picked up something I'm really curious to see how it works, Mega Houndoom. Yeah. Which, I mean, this guy drafted Bastiodon, and he drafted some kind of a weird team, and he's been making it work, so, I'm not going to question him. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna judge him too harshly for that. I'm just curious to see how he actually performs with it. Yeah. Because, if he can make Bastiodon work,
I think he can make Mega Houndoom work.
He can make a Mega Houndoom work. Because, I've used Mega Houndoom. Mega Houndoom is really good. But in this format, I haven't really seen it used all that much. So I'm curious to see how it performs. And Dragonite is Dragonite. It's honestly a huge threat with that multi-scale Dragon Dance.
Yeah.
Access to extreme speed. Potential choice band user.
Mm-hmm.
Really good coverage. Can do a lot. It can really punch holes in teams if you don't play around it correctly. Yeah. And, I'm pretty sure they got they 3-0. No, wait, not 3-0. 2-0. Why do I keep thinking 3-0? 2-0 the Atlanta Braviary this week, a team that has been kind of in the middle ground throughout the season.
Yeah.
And so, middle ground, kind of near the middling differential. Pretty much makes sense. Overall, they've been looking really good. They're probably going to make playoffs, unless Vespucci Park Rangers mount some kind of comeback.
And they got to lose out these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, they did. As long as he wins once, that's all he has to do. So if he can be either the DMR Shadow Absols or
the Middle Earth Magmortar.
Or the Middle Earth Magmortar, two teams which we both have in our bottom three. If he'd have to lose to both of those, which
unlikely.
Likely, but you never know.
Yeah.
1,000 times so far, you never know.
Yeah, so at my number 4, I have the Berkhamsted Bastardons. One of the big reasons is he's just such in a better position to make the playoffs than the Washington Red Shells. Like, the Washington Red Shells is just neck and neck, and he can still get out of the playoffs. I think the Berkhamsted Bastardons, they have to win one of their next 2 weeks against teams that haven't been doing well. I think they can make it. Mm-hmm. Their free agency pickups, though, I do not like them. Why don't I like them? Well, he drops both his fighting stab. I don't really know why. And then he picks up Mega Houndoom, Dragonite. You look at his team: Crobat, Kyurem, Zapdos, Dragonite, and Mega Houndoom, all weak to rocks. He's got 2 Defoggers that are both weak to rocks. I can see Hazard starting to be a problem for him. At least just rocks. Setting up rocks on his team with a team that is extremely weak to rocks now, that's going to be a problem for him.
And setting up rocks is
easy.
Not that hard to do.
You just set up rocks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can see dropping one of his fighting stabs. Like, Mega Glade and Terrakion. Okay, you don't need both of them. But then dropping both of them, I don't know. I just don't feel... I don't like it. I still am at 4 just because he's done well with a team that, again, we look at, we're just like, is he going to be able to do well with that team? And he has. Do I think he can do well with this team? Yes. It's just, I don't like the free agency pickups. I think that might hurt him a little bit, and that's why he's not at 3. Alright? He's just been doing really well, and he's almost definitely in the playoffs, so I'm keeping him at 4. He's been doing extremely well, exceeding my expectations in the beginning of the season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he uses Mega Houndoom and Dragonite. I've seen Dragonite used. It is an absolute beast. I've seen Mega Houndoom used, and I actually like Mega Houndoom a lot. I think people sleep on it. It's a Mega Houndoom. It's a BL2 Mega. Mm-hmm. How's that going to work? It actually puts on a lot of offensive pressure because it does have a really high special attack stat.
And coupled with, I believe, a decent 115 speed.
Yeah, it's pretty decent speed. It's faster than Mega Glade. Fire and Dark, not easy stabs to switch into. I think he needed the Fire stab. He didn't have it, so that's always nice. He needed the Dark stab. He has Hoop Unbound, but, a fast Dark stab is nice. With priority. So, I think he can use them well. I'm looking forward to how he uses them.
Yep. Going to be very interesting to see how the Berkhamsted Bastardons do. Mm-hmm. And at my number 4, I had the Chelsea Shandies, who made some interesting changes to their team, dropping the Mega Charizard X for the Mega Lopunny, which, Mega Mega Charizard X has been doing really well for him so far, so it's kind of weird to see him drop that.
Mm-hmm.
But Mega Lopunny is honestly, arguably, one of the best Megas in this format. Just because preparing for it is... You literally have to have something that can counter it on your team. Or else you have to Scarf something, or you have to make some kind of weird check to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly just because, like, there's nothing that can straight up wall it, because between Scrappy and Normal and Fighting, it's going to hit something at least neutrally.
Yeah.
And it's going to hit it pretty hard. But yeah, I honestly think it's just really good. And then, let's see, what was his other change?
And then he dropped Keldeo, and he picked up Thunderous Eye.
Oh, okay, yeah, Keldeo for Thunderous Eye. And then, with that, I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had 2 other water types on his team, so I mean, it's not like he's losing his water's that bad. He picked up another fighting type, so he still has Fighting Stab, and he gained a strong, good electric type.
Yeah, with Prankster.
Wasn't a Thundurus on his team at the beginning of this season?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it was.
I don't know, I just feel like I saw Thundurus there before. But overall, I mean, pretty...
Yeah, no, it was. He originally had Thunderous Eye, traded away for Gengar, and then I think he grabbed it back.
Okay, he just couldn't bear to live without it, I guess. He felt bad. But yeah, overall, can be questioned to an extent, but I feel like they're pretty good trades. And his performance overall throughout the season has been really, really good. Like, he kind of was fading out a bit towards the middle, but he's picking it back up, like, really well. Getting a, as I said, a modest 2-0, which, against the Vespin Park Rangers, who are kind of inconsistent, but have shown to be able to beat some of the higher-ranked teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, overall, I just feel like they have been definitely a huge threat. I see them making the playoffs, but it's definitely going to be... It's not going to be easy, considering they have to verse the Washington Red Shells.
Yeah.
Who are competing with them for the playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
So that match could be the deciding factor between who makes playoffs and who doesn't.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on to 3, I have the Chelsea Shandies. I just really like how the Chelsea Shandies are playing. How the Chelsea Shandies have been playing. They are really damn good. I mean, they have really picked up their game. Their team changes. Kind of lukewarm on. Is it going to work? Well, he needed some strong electric stab. Thunderous Eye, very good for that. I don't like Thunderous Eye, but other people do. Dropping the Keldeo, I don't think he was making too much use of Keldeo, and picking a Mega Lopunny. You say it's one of the best. I think it's really good. I don't think it's one of the best, to be honest, but keeping the Fighting Stab is good. Mega Charizard X, he was using it very well, so I'm kind of on the dropping it, because he lost his only Fire Stab, so he loses a really good Fire Water Grass Core in Mega Charizard X, Slowking, and Tangrowth. I don't know how I feel about that, but if he's able to make better use of Mega Lopunny than he was Mega Charizard X, then I don't see a problem. I think it's going to be a big threat, and I think he's going to do well. I think he's more likely to make the playoffs than like the Iowa Focus Energy. I think he's been doing better. He's been winning big, and if he wins out, he's got I think a relatively easy week this week against the Manhattan Manectrics, and then next week he plays the Washington Red Shells. So it's going to be a tough week, his last week, but I think this next week, if he wins it, as I think he will, he'll be able to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I got.
Yeah, and moving Yeah, on my number 3, I have the Washington Red Shells, who, as you said, dropped the Pangoro for the Scrafty. Pangoro and Scrafty, similar typings. Only difference is Pangoro can get a slightly better move pool to an extent. It gets things like parting. What is it? Parting shot, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, parting shot, and it also gets the gunk shot, which is very nice. But Scrafty gets access to Intimidate, Moxie, and Scrafty honestly is just better.
Yeah.
Like Pangoro got its upsides, but Scrafty's just better.
Yeah.
So overall,
Scrafty's got D-Dance.
It's got D-Dance, it's got Bulk Up, it's just Intimidate, Moxie, and I guess Shed Skinned, it could work, but you usually won't see that. And yeah, pretty good trade, not too much to say about it though. And they got a 5-0 this week over the Middle-earth Magmortar. I mean, it's second best score you could possibly get, really not much to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was against a low-ranked team, he arguably really couldn't have done much better.
Yeah.
And, just Washington Red Shells, I have had one of the best teams throughout the season, and I have thought they've been doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've got good chances of making the playoffs, and if they do make the playoffs, I really think they're a huge threat in there and could take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so moving on to number 2, I have the Squim Almar. A team that was on my, post-draft power rankings, number 12. He's number 2. He's 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have much to say about him this week. He's making the playoffs. Pretty much. Alright, he's got to really mess up badly in these next 2 weeks to not make the playoffs.
Actually, I don't think he can. I actually think he statistically can't make it because the Detroit Pincers and Investment Park Rangers are both 4 and 5, right?
Oh, yeah, no, he's in the playoffs. Okay, so never mind. He is the first team, I think, to actually make the playoffs. He's in it. He can't... whether it's a wild card or not is to be determined based on how he does compare to the Berkham's Sebastidons. But the Investment Park Rangers can't catch up to him. The Middle-earth Mortars cannot catch up to him. So he's there.
Yep, he's in.
So, not much to say about him. I don't think he engage in the trading. I don't think he... No, he didn't. He kept his team the same, and good on him. I think he's been using it as well as... he's been using it very well. So I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't change his team. I don't think he needs to. He's been doing really well with it, and he's making the playoffs. I can see him going very far. He is one of 2 teams that are 7-2, and he's doing extremely well. So, as long as he can keep playing as well as he's been playing, then I can see him going really far in the playoffs also. That's all I got for him.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And he's my number 2 as well. As you said, did not participate in free agency, so his team staying the same, which I don't see a problem with. His team, he's been doing really good with it. So, I mean, don't fix it if it's not broken.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's locked in the playoffs, so it's like 7-2 locked in the playoffs, I guess. At this point, he's just playing for the first round bye.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I guess it's still up in the air between him and the Berkhamsted Sebastidons, but I feel like he's probably going to get it because I believe he only has to win one more match to lock it.
Yeah.
And considering his record, I don't feel like winning 1 out of 2 matches would be that big of an issue for him.
Well, no, he'd have to actually lock it, he'd have to win both battles.
He'd have to win both?
Yeah, because the Berkhamsted Bastions win their both battles, and he wins 1, then they're at the same record.
How much is the differential, though?
Not too great, actually.
Not good difference as I thought?
No, the Berkhamsted Bastions are plus 11, and the Squimel are at plus 11. So it's going to come down to who can win more battles in the next 2 weeks.
Well, I guess that's going to be a bit tighter of a race than I thought.
Yeah, but either way, he's in.
I still think they can pull it out. The Squim Malmar have been doing very good. And just overall, I think they are definitely a huge contender to win the whole thing.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess moving on to number 1. I don't really have too much to say about him besides free agency picks. He won again this week against the DMR Shadow Wild Plus. He got a 5-0. Can't really do much better than that besides 6-0. And he's just been so dominant this season, just like the Swim Malamar. Yep. However, unlike the Swim Malamar, he does not have anything locked up. However, I think he will in the next 2 weeks as he plays the Iowa Focus Energy and the Atlanta Braviary. I think he can win. And if he does win next week against the Iowa Focus Energy, then he does have a playoff spot locked up.
Yep.
100% he has it locked up. Go ahead. Yeah, because then the Iowa Focus Energy can't catch up. He'll have the playoff spot locked up. And he's just been playing so well. He did also... he did participate in free agency. Changed a few things. He dropped... What did he drop? He dropped the Mega Diancie, I know that. And he dropped the Swampert. Yeah, he dropped those two and picked up Mega Altaria and Porygon Z.
Mm-hmm.
Very good pickups, in my opinion. Dropping the Mega Diancie for the Mega Altaria? Holy hell, who let him do that? Because now he's got Mega Altaria, and what's the best counter Mega Altaria is Steel types? He's got Magnezone. Seriously? And then you pair that up with Ferrothorn? Yeah, good luck getting through that. And he dropped the Swampert. He already had Blastoise, so he doesn't really need the Swampert. And he picks up Porygon Z, and Porygon Z, that hits so damn hard. That thing is an extremely big threat if you're not properly prepared for it. And I think people kind of sleep on Porygon Z a little bit because its adaptability with normal type stab. But it's got extremely versatile move pool. It's got different setup options. It's got huge special attack stat. And very diverse move pool. So I think he's going to be able to use it well. I think his team's now even better.
Mm-hmm.
He is a huge threat now with that Mega Altaria. Mega Altaria, I love in this format. I absolutely love it. Varying sets, setup, different kinds of setup, defensive and offensive setup. Pixelate, Dragon Fairy, great typing. It's just such a good mod, and now he's got one of my favorite Megas in this format, along with a mod that gets rid of almost all of its hard counters, which are Steel types.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just overall Mega Altaria. Honestly, way superior Fairy to Mega Diancie, in my opinion, who just... The fact that it starts at such low speed and then loses so much bulk when it Mega Evolves kind of forces it to run Protect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just... I don't feel like it's that good. But Mega Altaria definitely, in my opinion, way better. Huge upgrade.
Yeah.
This is to a team that, even with a Mega that I don't think was that good, is still 7-2. And now with two better Mons, is definitely going to be an even larger threat going into playoffs. Because I do not see them not making playoffs, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just going to be able to make the playoffs pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the power rankings for Week 9 of PICA. We are getting very close to the playoffs. I'm looking forward to them greatly. And,
going to be interesting.
Yeah. I think I see a lot of teams that are probably going to make the playoffs. One that has, two that are not, and we're wrapping up the season. 2 more weeks left. Anything else to say about it?
No.
All right. Well, if you have your own...
I said good luck to everyone.
Oh. Well, I was just about to say, if you have your own rankings, please leave them down in the comment section below. Let us know how you think we're doing, who you think is going to make the playoffs. Besides the people who have already... besides the Squim Malamar, who's already clinched the playoffs. But that's all I got for today. My name is Burke. His name is Xavier. We'll see y'all next time.